Hey everyone, Logan here from the Spalty Dog. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about an injury that I suffered in my shop. Around the beginning of December of last year, I was working on a commission for a client, and I was making a charcuterie board, just a small serving board for them where did a pretty simple glue up and rough cut it out on the bandsaw to the shape that I wanted. I made an MDF template that I planned to flush trim everything over on my router table. As I was doing that, unfortunately, my left hand came in contact with that flush trim bit. I don't know if my hand got too close to the bit or if it caught a part of the board and it pulled my hand into it. It all happened so fast. I don't know if I'll ever know what really happened there. However, when it happened, I immediately was like, and I screamed so loud that my wife could hear me from in the house, and I'm immediately like rushing around, like trying to find something to stop the bleeding. I could see what had happened, and the state of everything was going on. I didn't feel anything. My hand was completely numb. So I'm rushing around, blood's getting everywhere, and I find a pack of microfiber bonnets for a buffer. So I grab one of those, I squeeze onto it as much as I can at the time to kind of stop the bleeding, and I go get my wife and we rush over to the ER where I ended up having to have an emergency surgery done. Aside from the physical aspect of it, once I saw my hand and the whole time we were going to the ER, I just kind of felt stupid. Like, how could I let something like this happen? I've always told myself, and I know that there's always an inherent risk or there's a danger when you're working with power tools, woodworking, metalworking, anything like that, especially if you do it very frequently like I do. And I've always known that's a possibility, and I've always tried my best to be as safe as I could. So then when it happened to me, I'm just kind of like, how could I let this happen to me? Is all I kind of kept thinking. And I really was really down on myself for the first couple weeks, thinking, what does this mean for the rest of my life? Basically, when I went to the ER, I'll put some pictures up on the screen here so that you guys can see if blood makes you squeamish, if you don't like to look at these types of images, just go ahead and skip forward. I'll put the time on the screen so you know where to skip forward so you won't see any of those. This is what my hand looked like immediately after it happened. I'm sitting in the ER waiting to be taken back. Once I get back into the ER, they decide that, they wanted to transfer me to another hospital because they didn't think at the time, because of my injury being so traumatic, that they had a surgeon there available to kind of address what needed to be addressed. Actually, there was an orthopedic surgeon in the hospital at that time who was able to talk to a hand specialist that they were planning to send me to. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to see me at that time, so he advised him to do an immediate surgery to kind of get me closed up and get me into a stable condition so that I could follow up with the hand surgeon. And, the doctor was able to, they took me back into surgery, they cleaned up my hand, and I'll kind of show another picture of what it looked like after they cleaned it up, and it's in the OR, they're getting ready to do surgery, just trying to assess the damage, and see what they're going to be able to save and what they won't be able to save. And this is kind of, when I saw this picture, it really set in how bad I had really messed up my fingers. So essentially, coming out of surgery, I was still, again, just the mental feelings were still there. How is this going to impact my woodworking? How am I going to be able to type on a keyboard for my day job? And all these other just little things. At this point, my hand is wrapped up in this giant splint, so I can't see my fingers. I can't see anything. I don't know what it looks like. And the doctor told me that I lost about a quarter of an inch on my index finger. This is all on my left hand, which is my non-dominant hand. Thankfully, my injury could have been a lot worse, and I'm very thankful for being able to do as much as I am now, given the situation. And my middle finger was in a lot worse shape. They needed to put a pin into my finger to stabilize it, which I ended up keeping in there for probably about a month. But because of that, and because of how bad my joint was damaged, the doctors had said that I'm probably not going to be able to bend my middle finger at that first joint anymore. So I'll still have functionality and mobility, but it's going to be slightly more limited. So that just brought on a whole other wave of emotions, like I'm not going to be able to necessarily bend this finger. So like, what does this mean for other things that I like to do in my life? Something I don't talk about on this channel or really in any of my videos is that I am a musician. I love playing guitar. I play the drums, thinking, how am I going to be able to hold drumsticks? Or how am I going to be able to play guitar, like play chords being right-handed? That's where I play all my chords. So after playing guitar for 15 plus years, it's been a huge part of my life, and thinking, I may never be able to do that again, or maybe I can, but I'm never going to be as good as what I was before my injury. And as time's gone on, my hand and my fingers have healed up amazingly from what I expected. I'm back to using my hand. I've been back in the shop doing light things just to kind of keep myself busy. And I've kind of just figured, as much as I got down on myself and as much as I was like, how could I let this happen? I've kind of realized that, accidents happen, and there's certain things that are just never going to be in your control. And what I've found that you can do in those situations, and that I still work on every day myself, is that there's always going to be things, again, that you can't control, but what you can control is how you react to those situations and how you choose to move forward. But after all of that, after beating myself up and thinking, how could I let this happen? And understanding that there's things that are just out of my control, there's nothing more that I want to do than be able to build furniture and sell furniture full time, or create content for you guys of building different pieces and kind of teaching other people different ways that you can build things. I don't think that there's anything that could really ever happen to me that's going to take that passion or that drive away from me. So I hope that anyone that watches this video and that can take anything from this is that don't let a setback stop you from doing the thing that you love. I really want to thank you guys for sticking around with me and my channel this far. I really felt like I was gaining some momentum and putting out more content and really doing quality builds that I really want to do, and then this injury happened, and then it just pushed everything to a stop. So I'm sorry for being quiet here recently. That's why I wanted to put this video out, because I know when I put these new videos out, you're going to see close-ups of my hands, and I wanted to address it and put it out there so that it's not something that I'm hiding, and it's something that I'm upfront and honest with you guys about. So with that said, again, just to wrap it all up, don't let things like this set you back. If something like this ever happens to you, I hope it never happens to anybody, but if it does and you're watching this or you've had this happen to you, keep pushing forward. Things are going to get better. You're still going to be able to do the things that you've always been able to do. You might just have to do them in a different way. And that's something that I tell myself every single day, and that just keeps me moving. So thank you guys again so much. I really appreciate it, and I hope to catch you on the next one.